Welcome to the Whoa Factor. I'm Izzy Nalley, your host and the co founder of the Whoa Network. Today, in our founding member spotlight, I have Andrea with me, and she is a health coach that specializes in specifically autoimmune. And she has a book coming out and a resource for you today, which is absolutely amazing. Andrea, tell us about you.
Yes. Well, it's great to connect with you, Izzy. I love hanging out with you and Holly so much because we just feed our energy feeds off of each other. It's so much fun. But I am excited. I love serving people. I've been a certified health coach for 11 plus years, and that I can't really believe that. That seems crazy to me when I say it out loud. And I love helping people like myself who struggle with inflammation, autoimmune issues, stuff like that. Knowing even as we age, guys, we don't have to feel terrible. And if you feel bad, there's probably a reason for it. So let's like start uncovering a thing here or there and work towards, what's medically you need to get done, but what you can do, what you can be in charge of. And I think during my journey, I gave up control a lot of things and played the victim for a very long time. And actually, that's what I talk about in my book. But I just want you to
Mm.
know there are times, we just give up control because we don't know what to do, and it's exhausting and it's demoralizing and all different things. But if you can just start, like, take one step and learn something and do something different, and like, okay, if I can just solve one problem today and one tomorrow and just keep moving in that direction. And that's one of the things that I love helping people do is uncover what is food related, what is obesity disease related, and then what is
Mm.
actually medically you need to go and get taken care of, because a lot of it eliminates a lot of that, so that you can partner with a good physician on the things that you need to partner with. The rest of it we could take care of.
I
So
love that, and
that's
I love that you mentioned inflammation too, because inflammation is like one of the biggest indicators that can lead to so many other things like cancer and,
yes,
a lot of these diseases that we really don't want.
right.
And getting that under control is huge within itself.
Yes. And so, and it's not just food related. It's stress. It's not getting enough sleep. It's a whole health mentality that, we kind of need to step in and practice. And let me tell you, still one of my biggest issues is, going to bed on time and all this stuff.
Mhm.
And I'm saying this is the confessions of a health coach. Like, there are times I'm like, all right, this quarter I am working on this area. It's slacked off a little bit. So let's kind of get that realigned. So we're always in practice. People don't feel like
We're
just
human.
because that's right. Like, I need to like focus on different areas at times. And so, that's just what you do. We're always in practice. And that's what I want to say. I love helping demystify things about people having to be perfect, and then, it's all or nothing. And then there's so many things going on inside of your head, and you're like, well, that's just not my personality. Then we don't
Mm.
take responsibility for it. And, actually, even the emotional things are skills that we can learn, just like going to the gym and lifting weights. But we don't always see it that way. We just think, oh, that's how I behave and that's who I am. When, our brain is a computer, like we can totally program this thing.
Yes.
Like, let's totally like Mac this thing, you know what I mean? And start programming it for what use it for what we want to use it for. So,
Yes, your
yeah.
thoughts are they're not you, right?
Mm-mm.
Like,
They're not even true
it's
most of the
just
time.
this is so true. This is so true. So, you mentioned you've got a book coming out, and I really love because this has been coming up a lot in a lot of things that I'm doing as well, as like this not playing the victim.
Mhm.
Like the world is not happening to me, it's happening for me, and
Yeah.
having this shift as a person who has an autoimmune disease, like I understand like that's really hard and sometimes you
Yes.
go like, "Oh, but I have this and why people just understand the pain
Yes.
I'm in?" But like shifting out of that and saying, "I'm not going to allow it to define me." Like
Yeah.
tell me more about what you're writing about.
Yeah. So let me tell you, I've definitely I played the victim for a very long time, and I don't mean it started, we can go all the way back to childhood, all those different things. But we learn these patterns of behavior, and I'm not blaming anybody else. I never took responsibility for it. That was my story. That was my script.
Mm.
It also got me out of having to take responsibility for it. So, as I got older, as I had kids, I started putting boundaries around things because I'm like, this is no longer acceptable. Like, and I'm allowing it. Like, so I think it comes to a point in our lives, and I think that's one of the things I try to teach my children the most. Like, okay, I know you feel this way, but in a minute, you're going to not have all that emotion attached to it. And we can talk about how, you can respond to that maybe a little bit different. And it drives them a little bit crazy, maybe a little bit. But what can we control? We can control our response. And so for so many years, that was my default mechanism of,
Mm.
well, I can't do it. Like, it's my kids, it was my mom, it was my husband, it was whatever we want to blame. Pick your person, your target, like, and whatever. And so I had to come up out of that now, and I'm not perfect. Again, I'm not perfect, but I feel like 80% better because I feel so in charge. Like, I love where I'm
Mm.
at in my life right now.
Yay.
And it's just so, like, I can see so much more joy because I know what I have control over. And there are things, as you know, Izzy, there's days you wake up and you're like, oh, that thing is rearing its ugly head again, and you're like, "Arr." But I'm like, all right, so what can I today, on the day where I feel the worst, what is the minimum I can do to control the situation? Because sometimes you just you just want to relent. And I'm a great wallower. I don't know about you. I'm a
Mhm.
professional wallower. And so I got to get out of that pigsty and get myself up. And thank God I have the ability to pivot faster each time. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, and it's just like, all right, I stayed in like 3 seconds less than I did the last time. Go
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, and I think something we had talked about before too is like the mask. Like, there's the opposite side of that too, which is masking
Mhm.
and finding, right, like the middle path where
Yes.
you're not too much in one, and really, I feel like the middle path is joy, right? Like, it's where
Yes.
you can really see the full picture.
Yes. It's creation, it's play, it's all these different things. And so in this, writing, becoming an author was not on my quarterly agenda this year, but was presented this opportunity by a really good friend of mine. And I thought, well, that'll be a fun learning thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's cathartic, guys. Like, it was
Yes.
really, really cool because you have to sit down, and then somebody's reviewing it and they're asking you really hard questions. And I'm like, I do not want to answer that. Like, nor do I want to answer it publicly. You know what I mean? Because now you're really putting it out there. But I talk about just some shifts that happen in my life, specific shifts, or I call them awakenings that happen in my life that I'm very thankful and grateful for. And I look forward now to more of those opportunities to happen in my life as I continue to grow in age. And so, just awakening to the possibility of what my life can, and I can create in it. And so that's
Mhm.
what I'm excited about. That it's going to be fun. So that is drops. The Kindle version drops June 27th. So look out
June
for that.
27th.
Help me
Okay.
out. We're working towards bestseller. So, help a sister out. Click and buy $1.99. You can't even buy a coffee for that anymore, ladies.
You cannot. I'm
Yes.
always shocked every time I go, like, the price
Ugh,
keeps going up. I'm like, "Now
I
it's like
know.
7 something."
Yes. And so this is an anthology. I'm excited about my part, but I've partnered with 42 other women.
Oh,
So
wow.
maybe my story, they're very short stories, but maybe my story isn't one that sticks out to you, but I bet you're going to find somebody in there and you'll be able to connect with them that, and I don't care whether it's me or somebody else that helps you heal or grow. But if somebody else's story speaks to you, reach out, connect, buy it. It's going to be great. I'm so excited to read everybody else's stories. I've heard their stories, but not on paper. So I'm really excited about reading all of them.
And I have to say, like, that is one of the things I really love about you is you are so authentic and, like, you really explore the depths and you share your depths. I think when we first met, I was like, "Okay, another health coach, right? Like, I do health coaching too. And then I invited you to speak in my group, and like you were hitting on some like key nuggets, and I was like, whoa, this woman really knows what she's doing. Like she really understands the struggle
Mm,
that is involved in just trying to get healthy, not the weight loss, just the
yes.
trying to get
No.
healthy and
Yes.
love your life and love your body.
Yes. Yes.
So,
And I think it's so important, I love saying I love collecting people because there might be a modality or something else that works better for somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like
mhm.
my goal
Yep.
is for you. Whether you work with me, great. I would love to work with you, but maybe that's not the solution for you. So I'm always open to collecting people and like serving them and serving people and also other people who have businesses. I want them to succeed too. So, I
Yeah.
love partnering with other people. So,
And I will testify to that. Like you are super great about that. Um, it- Before we finish up today, I want to make sure that you get enough time to really tell us about this resource that you have too, because these tools really help with people just exploring their journey and their next step in reaching towards their health goals. And a lot of times it's always just like talk, but you've actually got something
yeah.
that's more like
Yes.
interaction.
Yes. So I love it because, so many of us will start our day and we've got this big plan and a pretty poster and all the different things. And I'm going to crush it today. And by like, and I'm, again, I'm a real person.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that happens also. But, and then maybe by 7 or 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you're sitting in front of Netflix eating a bowl of ice cream. It happens, right? Because there's
Guilty.
something else. Yeah, there's something else going on inside of our brain that's sabotaging us. And so I'm super excited. I partnered with a guy named Dave Blanchard, who is part of our organization, and he is the CEO of the Augmentino Group and super high level guy. And he brought us this amazing tool and resources that we get to use for free when you partner,
Awesome.
as a client. Anybody can take the assessment. You can take the assessment, that's free. But what it measures is your habit of thinking towards your health. So it's very specific. We're always talking about habits and stuff like that. But sometimes it's really cool to see like what's going on inside of my brain when this
That is nice.
happens. And I, and I'm gonna be honest, I took it and like Dave and I had a couple arguments. I was like, I don't agree with this. And then he started explaining to it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is me. Sorry. Because I've been doing this for a while. I think I got it all figured out. And it's not always it's measuring. He's like, so you're always in the center. This is you in the center. This, when it veers to the right or to the left, that's just your brain. That's your thoughts. That has nothing to do. You're always center, but it just means your brain goes a little bit this way when you're. And I was
Mhm.
like, it's just so fascinating, and it's been super helpful even in my own personal journey, because I'm always walking towards better, better, better.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Well, and I love that too, because right, like we have different ways of processing how we think about what we deserve, what's
yeah.
possible for our genetics, what we think about how we should handle stress. Right? Like I'm like, well, I'm stressed, so I deserve ice
Oh, for
cream.
sure, for sure. I don't know how many times that's come out of my mouth, but not as much anymore. But still, I'm like, yeah. And here's the funny thing, I always think the things that you learn about yourself during I feel like being a health coach sometimes is very selfish because the things that come out of my mouth, I was like, oh, that was for you. Like, straighten up your act, girl. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it's the Holy Spirit speaking through you, and you're like, oh, okay. But a lot of times you're learning in the process of someone else, and so I'm
Yep.
always in practice, right? So I feel like I have this huge support mechanism behind me cheering me on, and if I veer off, nobody's there judging you. It's a very safe community. I love it. And so wow, I can't even imagine my life not being part
Mhm.
of this community because there's so many things that I learned behaviorally that I've applied to not only just my health, but raising my children. and
Mhm.
different things. And I have a son that's on the spectrum, and I am so grateful for the things that I've learned because it's completely shifted the dynamics of how we communicate. And
Mm.
I mean, nothing's changed for him. He's still great. But he is, his impulse is, when he talks, and it's like, all right. So, it's helped me be better, but it's helped my kids be better
Mm.
because I feel like I've been able to give them skills that other people don't have. And so when they leave our house, and I'm down to my last one's graduating this week. And so they go other places and they're like, wow. And they
I
just think
agree.
everybody's house is like our house. And I'm like,
Perspective, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah, well, and I love that you mentioned that too, because I feel like a lot of us in the group and maybe in the founding members as well do have a kid that has autism or on the spectrum, and how important diet, lifestyle,
totally.
routines, all of that is not only important to the human mind, but like when you're you're a parent of a child that has a special need, it becomes even more important too. And
Yeah,
they learn by example. And I think
yes,
if anything, that's one of the biggest reasons that us as parents need to take charge of our health, our mindset, all of that is because they get it like by proxy, by
yes.
being there. They're
Yes.
learning. Yeah.
Yes. And I just saw I'm gonna veer off just for 30 seconds, but I love, the girl that plays Amy Farrah Fowler on The Big Bang Theory. I can't think of her it's, whatever, but she's like a super brainiac kind of person,
Mhm.
neuroscientist or something like that. And I
Yes.
saw a thing and she goes, "I love the thing that I like about the show is that we all have some type of neurodivergent thing going on, but we're not necessarily all talking about medicating, but we're all in relationships. We're all having successful business or like working in a successful
Mhm.
field, and showing functionality and just working through it. And I was like, that is so true. And there are people that need medical assistance for sure. But I love that it is possible just to develop skills around that because we're not all the same and we all need
Yeah.
different skill sets and practices. And I was like, I love that. That was so great. Throw it, shout out to her. She's not going to watch this, but it's so cool.
You never know.
I know, right? We'll just tag her in it. She'll totally watch it. But it was so good. I was like, thank you. Thank you for representing that and showing that.
Awesome,
So,
awesome.
yeah.
So Andrea, if someone wants to work with you or they wanna contact you to see if maybe you are a right fit for them, what would be the best way for them to contact you?
So you can go to my Facebook page, which is Andrea Allen. And if you want to get really specific, 562, I need to like something a little bit more specific because there's lots of Andrea Allens out there. I have a link tree.
Good.
I'll post it in the comments and you can go there, and just take my assessment and I'll reach out and we can do a 15 minutes free consultation. If you're just ready to make some changes, not only in your health, but like in behavioral changes and patterns and start moving into creation instead of reactionary. So I just call it thriving instead of surviving. And that's what I was barely doing. I don't even know if I want to call it
Right?
surviving before. It was like, I don't know. It was
Hanging
crazy.
on by a thread. I've been there plenty of
Ooh,
times.
yes,
And it's
for
like we get
sure.
to surviving level and we're like, "I'm doing better," but we
I
don't
know.
realize that we're still in survival. And then we get to that edge of survival, right? We're like, "Oh, this is
Mhm.
amazing." And then when you hit that, like, thriving or abundance or whatever you wanna call it, it's like, "What? What happened?"
Yes, yes. It's so great because again, we're back into play and creativity. And I love it. I was just talking to my team of coaches and I was like, this is where we want to stay right here, where it's fun and we don't have to fix anybody. That's the best part about it. Everybody thinks as a coach, you've got to have all the answers. Actually, you have to learn how to communicate, ask good questions, be still, because most people just need guidance in solving their own problem. And I love it.
Yes.
It's so empowering to watch the light go off in people. And they're like, and I'm like, and
I
you had that
agree.
answer the whole time. That was you. That was not me.
Right, a coach is a guide.
Yes.
They're not the problem solver.
Mm-mm.
And I love that because even coaches need coaches.
Yes.
Even if like me,
Totally.
like I've been a personal trainer, I've done sports medicine, I still occasionally need a coach too, just because right? Like we have human brains. And our human brains
Yeah.
sometimes do things that we don't want them to do.
And just learning new skills and leveling up in new skills. So,
And
yeah.
life changes, right? Life
Oh, for
changes in
sure.
different
I'm about to
areas
be
of
in,
life.
I said, well, I'm about to be an empty nester, but I'm not. My husband goes, he's going to be with us for a minute. I said, yes, he will. It'll be all right. But I said, listen, we're at 75% with kids being gone and independent. I said, if this was baseball, we'd be crushing. And so, we're doing good.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Andrea, so much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, what's coming up with you. For everyone else, stay tuned. We will make sure to comment the links underneath of this. So if you want those links, just say me. We'll have the book release on the 27th, on June 27th. And Andrea is going to drop her link tree so that you can go take this assessment too, risk-free. All it does is provide you more awareness, more wisdom. I don't think any of us don't need more of that.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Whoa Factor with the Whoa Network. I'm Izzy Nalley, co-founder, and our other co-founder, Holly Hartman. And we're looking forward to sharing more of these founding member spotlights in the next week. So stay tuned for those.